anyone who lives in San Francisco? Might know you know what? New Mexico are talking about this trade. I never did that because they like trade. Oh, okay. Yeah.
She's very into public transportation in general. I guess, but you're going to pay her. Exactly. She said it's a really good and I think it's sorry.
Part of what
yeah, I would say it took her a long time. We've been together for and we only had to we were moving from California to California.
No, I feel like I was
we did that whole
we did the same drive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From New York? Where? New York City or? Cool. Somewhere cool.
But yeah, it sounds like the same. We went to Austen, Nashville.
Yeah, it's St. Louis. This is cool. I like this.
if you got 45 minutes, fill the bus out there. Yeah. Podiums.
But Oklahoma City,
Yeah.
it's like, it wasn't your
It's just like,
you know what we did? All we were just kind of true crime, like history about Oklahoma City. Which kind of like is a particular like way to, you know, it's a lens.
It's for sure.
But yeah, and then went to Albuquerque. So that's why we went. On the way.
At the time, I was like, because I'm also a writer, I was listening to this audiobook because I was going to make it sound like a script, but it was like erotic. Because you're like sitting in a room, and you're driving through like a or no, not even Alabama, Arkansas. Arkansas. And I was like, this is so also nice.
Yes, absolutely. Because also like, if you were different, like we were listening to, we're listening to all four which I listen to, which I also like maybe for yeah, because I remember because I listened to the whole audio and then I alone and I was we had just gotten like the physical copy, but I promise I really loved the audio book. Didn't really know any like
I think one of the for a long time. I'm sure she's
I mean, it depends on if you're like, if you like her. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people who didn't like her. So I'm like, I've already known that. But, you know, if you're more...
Hi everyone, we've restocked the wine and the waters. If you wanted to grab one, just please no food in the theater tonight. Thank you.
I think this is her, definitely her. It's a great audio.
Did you teach her?
You know all the schools. Do you also know all the schools?
I don't know. Give me a sense.
Where did you teach in New York?
But didn't it like originally was like a military school? Or a boarding school?
And you guys met in Syria.
We've been everywhere.
Yeah,
We met in Seattle right after 16, and then you hauled really hard until 2018. Yeah. But yeah, and then we left in 2020 to go to Ohio, which is where I've been. A year and a half. I want to do it. We're in Seattle for like 10 years.
Has it been, is it like teaching, like with Laura, they need teachers. Oh, it's hard. Is it hard?
In some ways it's weird. Credentials. He likes.
I love that.
I feel like you were like trying to figure out.
What areas? Yeah. I was if she could like I'll eventually get out.
Although if you did join like a post, for example, they would
That's something.
It's hard.
It's just it's yeah.
You can't bring them to testing. You can't have a
And obviously they're going to be
oh wait, do I check? It's like
She got the job before we moved here, and I dropped down notes, and I was trying to feel, I was like, trying to decide and I was like, honestly,
Hi everyone, happy Friday. How's everyone tonight? Doing
good.
Awesome. Welcome to Beyond Baroque. My name is Ivan Salinas. I'm the programs manager here at Beyond Baroque Literary Arts Center. I want to welcome you to the Wanda Coleman Theater. And I'd like to start by acknowledging our presence on unceded territory. We stand in solidarity with Indigenous, Tongva, Tatavian, Chumash peoples who've endured colonialism and displacement. We stand against genocide and are committed to provide a space for Indigenous artists, their communities, as we recognize they are the original stewards of this land. Beyond Baroque itself is a place dedicated to the possibilities of language, founded in 1968 by George Drury Smith. We started out as an experimental literary magazine until it evolved into the interdisciplinary art space it is today. And this building first served as the original Venice City Hall, built in 1903, I think. And but since the late 70s, it has been a home for artists writers, and I encourage everyone to look more into the history of Beyond Baroque and the pillar it has been for Venice and the LA community overall. We continue to offer our free Monday night fiction workshops over Zoom with Raquel Baker, and our historic Wednesday night poetry workshop currently led by poet Martin Yago. And these happen weekly, virtually over Zoom. Anybody is welcome to bring in their piece and workshop it with a group of participants. In the rest that we have in February in our programming and our gallery exhibitions, currently we have Language is a Place by Oaxacan visual artist Victor Mortales, and that is currently on view in my Kelly Gallery. Half of the artwork is on this lower floor and the rest is upstairs where you can see the rest of the show. And for our programming here in the Walnut Coleman Theater, we have a special multimedia performance with poet Alicia Weiss, a program to celebrate Black History Month. We'll also have a community night with Venice filmmakers. And in March, we'll be welcoming poets from Mexico and the Bay Area for a program of Speaking in Tongues, a bilingual project led by poet Minerva Reynosa. And lastly, if you'd like to be more in tune with what we do here at Beyond Baroque and you want to help art spaces thrive, memberships are available. You can become a member and it grants you access to most events for free. There's also perks in the bookstore and a few other surprises throughout the year as well for members. And those memberships start at $75. There are discounts for students as well, college, high school level, any kind really. So if you are interested in keeping the arts alive in LA, totally welcome to inquire more about the membership and support these spaces. A big thank you to the Beyond Baroque team, and we can get a round of applause for Eric and Blue. Thank you for all three of support, our director Jimmy, Zoe, and Barbara, as well as Genesis in the bookstore. After the reading, our bookstore will stay open for a good 30-40 minutes, so you can browse through the shelves. We have some of the authors' books here for sale, and you're also welcome to check out the gallery. For our program this evening, I want to thank some people. This collaboration began with poet Liz Johnson, our former executive director Quentin Ring, and USC faculty David St. John. And this series wouldn't be possible without them and without the sponsorship of the University of Southern California. So I'm glad we're bridging all these literary communities from LA within the PhD in creative writing and literature, but also the surrounding communities from South Central all the way to the West Side in LA. So the last year we were able to put on about 3 programs with Liz Johnson, but Liz has relocated to Texas. So if you're seeing Liz the live stream, thank you. But we're continuing this series of programs, and we got the honor to have been working with Matthew Gellman, and Matthew will be hosting, and he's been the curator for tonight's readings. So to kick it off, I'm going to pass it on to our host and just let you know a little bit about Matt. His first book, Beforelight, was selected by Tina Chang as the winner of BOA Editions, the A. Poulin Jr. Poetry Prize. His second book, The Understudy, is forthcoming from 4-Way Books in 2027. Matthew has received fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts, Brooklyn Poets, Adroit's Djanikian Scholarships Program, and a few others. His poems have appeared in places like the Bennington Review, Gulf Coast, Prairie Schooner, Poetry Northwest, and a few others. He is currently a PhD candidate in literature and creative writing at the University of Southern California. enjoy, and let's welcome our poet, Matthew Gellman. Okay, let's figure this out. Can you all hear me? Are we good? Okay, cool. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. I appreciate it. It's a little cold by LA standards. I think we're doing great. I think this is really brave of us today. All of the readers, I mean, I love you guys. To call you friends and to benefit from reading your work and benefit from knowing you is amazing, and I'm just so grateful that we could do this together, truly, so thank you. Okay, let's get going. I'm just gonna read a couple, mostly new poems. One of them is from the last year, the other two are brand new, like within the last month. The first one is called Voice Lesson. Also, I took a beta blocker and it's hitting right now. Voice lesson. My parents hired a voice coach to correct my abnormalities. The S a little sharp, my vowels prairie wide. I sounded, you know, like that. In her half-moon glasses, she looked at me like a kindly owl from a children's show who always knows the answer and delivers it with grace. She must have known that somewhere another self waited for me to enter it, maybe under the shadowed sierras I saw in my geography textbook, where I'd stand in borrowed heat with men whose names I'd forget a few months after we shoved our hands in our pockets, looked back at each other, blinked once, then kept walking. Looking back, I don't blame my parents. Who wants to picture their child under slate skies, befriending the grass at recess instead of the kids in his class? Still, I'm grateful for that wide-eyed woman who said, I could listen to you talk all day, then let the door click shut behind her, no second appointment needed. Okay. This next one is called What Hands Can Do. A friend I still love painted me in a creaky floored apartment with the windows open, linen curtains, some blue from the city getting in, and I wanted to laugh each time her face looked up and rediscovered me, her eyes like two coins shining up from the dark water of a fountain. That day, fingers of light fell onto my friend's wide face for hours. That light did not try to bruise her and doesn't now, wherever she went. I'd know those eyes in any murky water, would recognize her long, slow hands as certain as the silk of spiders in a little wind. I was fresh off of a morning walk through the tourist-flustered park after a night with him, one of the first, or maybe the first, who knows. I'd put each finger into my mouth, the dirt lodged under each nail, because I wanted to hold each one, perhaps for the first time, perhaps for the last. Each time I started laughing, my friend reminded me to stop. It would take too long to finish, she said. She wasn't good with teeth. I knew my forehead would be the size of Canada, my nose a leaning tower, but I wouldn't tell her this, of course, as she reached for the color of blush. A few days ago, that same friend swallowed a bottle of sleeping pills. Her mind swam somewhere cavernous with all its anemones dimmed. I'm all right with losing his fingers now. I could lose some other things too, but I should have kept the portrait we watched dry on her fire escape that day. I think I captured you, she said, her hair in the wind its own wide elm. She leaned her head on my shoulder then, looking out at the day. In the windows, someone passed a baby to someone else. Someone lit a candle. Someone looked down at the sidewalk, but somehow didn't jump. Above us, the sky shot through with gold and heat, and beneath us, the city moving on, all radiant thirst and hurry. Bethesda Fountain. If night were a poppy that bloomed in reverse,
All of these lamplights flickering on are not in New York, but in Krakow, glowing dust on the path my ancestors walk. I look for the language lost inside my bones' tired formula, but each time I am left with the blur of their black boots and shapes being fed to the dusk. Somehow, persimmons grow in this park despite this air full of dirt. You can pluck one from the trees by the rambles, dust it off with your sleeve. I don't know which blossoms shadowed their quiet house in 1939 when the Germans threw them out and shot them in their cold backyard. I hated persimmons for years, their chalky taste, their bewildering sweetness, but I like that they can grow somewhere as unlikely as New York or as Krakow. Because this night is cold, let's say my ancestors were growing persimmons in a garden with just enough sheltered sun in a season turning to dust. Tonight, one couple argues by the fountain, another is holding hands. A minor music escapes from the darkness I can't entirely trace. A little sweetness, a little dust, some tender notion of free. Persimmons, I've heard, can still grow when attached to a dying tree. Okay. These are such downers, I'm so sorry. I'm like realizing I did a reading a month ago and my friend was putting it together and she was like, the theme is love and joy, like we want poems of love and joy, and I was just like, really though? Like I don't know what that means. Like I've never heard of her. But it is what it is. So this is going to be the last one that I'm going to read, and then we'll get started with Nick Martino. This last one is a real. I mean, they're all real. Like, you know, they all happen, but like this really, truly, very much happened. It's called Visiting the Psychic. Her room is oddly warm for a place the dead are summoned to. A menorah glows on the table where she throws the tarot cards down. I want to know what my husband will do for work, how many books I will write, but before I can ask, she sees my grandmother hovering at my side. My grandmother does this daily, the psychic says, whether I notice or not. Especially when I write, she says, my grandmother watches my hand. She always said that when there's black water in my head where a song should be, all I needed to do was walk to her shelf and open a book. I keep turning to my side as if I'll see her slim gold watch, black sweater, the curly black wild hair that nothing could have straightened. She wants me to take the ring she left my mother, strange albatross of marriage, and throw it into the Baltic. But I can keep her drawings, her plates. My grandmother is not angry now, the psychic says. Don't worry. She never got to write in her time, but now, through me, she will. I pay the psychic and re-enter the city's muffled winter light, the shadow I make as quiet as the earliest signs of rain. Okay, so that's that. Thank you. And yeah, okay, so let's get started with Nick Martino. Nick Martino is a poet and teacher from Milwaukee. His debut poetry collection, Scrapbook, is coming out with Alice James Books and won the 2024 Alice James Editor's Choice Award. Sorry, coming out in 2026, excuse me. I forgot what year it was for a second. And it's available for pre-order, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you know what to do. His poems are published or forthcoming from Plowshares, Best New Poets, Gulf Coast, Poetry Daily, Ninth Letter, the Boston Review, and the Southern Review, among others. A finalist for the 2024 Sewanee Review Poetry Prize, he holds an MFA from the University of California, Irvine, where he received the 2022 Excellence in Poetry Prize, and of course he lives in LA.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Matt. It's a pleasure and a privilege. Can everyone hear me? If I stand like this, can you hear me? Yep. Ooh, wow. All right, fabulous. I am starting off with some visual poems, actually. So, Eric, thank you very much. Or, thank you for your help. there we are. Fabulous. Oh, and you know what? I should actually have it in front of me. Polaroid, prison visit, June 7th, 1989. My mother turning to the prison. He lied. I can't stop staring at his face. Dark cement. The silhouette behind the blood in her hand, humming his touch. Her hands grasping in his, a gesture of fear. My mother turning to the camera. She's glowing, and my father's in prison. Heavy mascara carefully applied. I can't stop staring at. I imagine her hardened to stone. This face, rain-dark cement, the prison yard silhouette, the figure behind the blood in my father's hand, a hummingbird. His touch, a judgment of her distance. And yet, I can't ignore her hands grasping in his, a gesture of love or fear. My mother turning to the camera, her hair a starving argument of red. I'm surprised that she's smiling, rosy, almost glowing. It's the afternoon, and my father's in prison. Heavy mascara carefully applied, a hospital bright blouse, her tanned hand sleeping on his knee. I can't stop staring at her white teeth. Behind them, I imagine her grief is a cherry pit, hardened to stone. Imagining her frame of mind, do I deceive myself? What do I know? Only this realm of surfaces, the vomit-colored lawn, the rain-dark cement, in the furthest corner of the prison yard, a silhouette watching the camera. Watching, too, I feel as figment as the figure behind them, and as close as the blood in my father's hand to the shoulder it hovers over like a hummingbird. My mother's body leaning into his touch. I'm leaning too, conjugating witness into a judgment of my father's distance. And yet, I can't ignore the other hand's testimony. Grasping her finger in his fist, a gesture of fear indistinguishable from love, or love from fear. Polaroid, prison visit. September 7th, 1989. Paper plates, table scraps, paper documents. The case against my father is his leaning away the moment his love fell off. Show it to me. Their divorce, dead pines behind, flock of pigeons midair, the shadow of a red-tailed hawk. My mother gripping an unlit match between her teeth, the fire I feed, nicotine gum, blue book of matches. My mother's right. Scraps from the day's visitation. Paper documents from the case against my father. My mother squinting through the winter sun, collar turned to the wind, her hand on his back, his leaning away. Is there a different kind of evidence here? Can I find the moment his love fell off? I'm looking for the image to show it to me. The second, fossilized. Their divorce took root from a crystal seed from which our brittle house would grow. As if the dead pines behind my parents mean anything. As if the flock of pigeons frozen midair invents the shadow of a red-tailed hawk. Is it a fool's errand? My mother gripping an unlit match between her teeth, me dreaming of the fire taking shape in her mind. I imagine the fire. I feed it with detail, like kindling. Nicotine cum, 2 cans of Pepsi, blue book of matches, 3 chapters missing. Hemmed red in the cold, my mother's right hand is pointing to an elsewhere beyond the frame, my father gazing at the ground. I need it to be me who saves them. And that's all for the visual component. Two more. This is called Love Poem. Love Poem. You watched your first deer die when you were 6. You watched the slotted eye, how light was there and then gone. But that's not right, is it? Having seen death twice open like night looming jasmine, the hour of its unsticking blue and slow. It's late. Moonlight waterfalls the plastic blinds. I give you the bottle of red label, you give me the dab rig. You light the nail for me. Your resin paints my voice shut like an attic window. It's an evening of gifts. I hate this feeling in my lungs, but I love the name you give to shatter. Yes, I know you have pills for later, long after I've fallen asleep. I know I'll wake to check if you're still breathing, staring down the dark, breathless for the rising of your chest. All right, I'm going to do one more. It's a longer poem. It's a kind of take on a heroic sonnet crown. It's a broken heroic sonnet crown. Sonnet or heroic sonnet crown is a series of sonnets where the last line of the sonnet is the first line of the subsequent sonnet. And in the heroic sonnet crown tradition, it's, I think, 14, in keeping with the 14 lines, and then the 15th sonnet is the compendium of all the last lines. Now, this is broken insofar as it's not all 14, and it's a persona poem featuring my father. So Scrapbook is broadly about my father's history of incarceration prior to my birth, and this is a poem that imagines what he might have said to me from prison had he had the chance. Elsewhere. 1. To my son not yet born. Where do I begin? With what beginning? How many weeks now since your mother wrote me to share the good news? Son, already red December light crawls the slick concrete of my prison cell. I have index cards for paper and a desk, one matchstick window. Yesterday, I watched 2 guards with torches scour the little yard of bitter weeds. Bodiless applause, the sound of brush burning alive. It's useless. In a month, new flowers blink from hills of ash. This is my promise. I won't be here long enough to forget you. In the interval between fire and flower, I'm waiting to be born. I'm waiting to be born, too lucky to return here. Twice each day I circle the burning of burning white gravel in the rec yard, the sourness of the earth. Today, a word thrown like a javelin from man to man, a fight newly cracking open in a crowd, the red grammar of fists. Here, I'm so quiet. Nothing's changed. You're teaching me to see my mistakes, how, in a different crowd, what at first resembles violence is just a man constrained against a lover's bicep, the chapel of their lips. Against the lover's bicep, the chapel of their lips, I scorned her love and kept myself alone. Tonight, footsteps of a guard, a copper rain, like bright eggs ticking in her bloom of hot water. Dressed in steam, your mother loved to sing above the glowing stove, asking me, "How was your day?" In silence, my reply. Silence of the cold guest bedroom where I slept at night. From her bed, she can see the end of the lake. Is this love, your mother drawing waves? Pain that has dulled is called tenderness. Rhinestone journal winking in the light. Once, when I asked, she said, "I am transcribing." She said, "I am transcribing a narrow year in these letters." This morning, my cell is naked and golden. I make a list of everything I can see from my cot, a list of simple objects magnified by hurt light. 1, blue toothbrush on the sink's edge. 2, paper wasp rasping in the window, a visitor from home. Love, are you already here? It's easier, I think, to be persuaded my whole world is small. 3, one day on the calendar above my desk, lit up in a ray of sun. One day for the lie I tell you about this year will be beautiful in its simplicity. Beautiful in its simplicity, and thin was the case against me. I turned to my defense at the hearing and said nothing. Quieted by the grain of painted ash on the courtroom wall, I was looking for the past tense of a barn fire. Son, on my honor, I refused to speak. But silence was a kind of lie, one pain crouching inside of another. Writing now, is my pain your future tense? Doorway like a deer path, nettle and white flocks, I meet you there. Where I remember how to speak, where once I thought death was unanimous, the stillness of December orchards. I have a quiet disease. My heart will be the first to die. Do you have it too? You I love, half alive, moving through this dark like me. Have I already failed you? My words are melting like cardboard in the rain. Son, I love you, and I'm afraid. I love you, and I'm afraid of the thin, windowless dreams you bring me. Since her last letter, 3 days rain, and in the distance softly bells from the militarized zone. All winter, I dreamt a door swollen open, and the moon like a needle's eye. I dreamt a deer crawling in the room, silence on its back like fleas. Son, when I return to you, I'm afraid I'll sound different. Not the murmur of the rain, but in the silence that follows. In the silence that follows a barn fire. I was raised inside the meadow of my parents' broken marriage. Even as a child, I understood how often I was called to mend their love, and how, as a mender, I so often failed. Today, circling the transparent sky, a fist of bees fell upon the easternmost fence. A fist of bees, your reaching hand. There is no end to the earth I'll move to hold you. Love, there is no end. For years, I've been looking for the start of the circle, a corner in the silo of winter. Further still, to pin down the beginning of this pain. But are stories any easier? Please, find me a way out of my body. I'm begging you to tell me how it feels to be so close to her. I'm lost enough tonight to offer loving as a bare room we furnish together. What am I saying? Why am I writing but this? I'm begging you, please understand me. I'm begging you, please understand me and love me even still. Blinded by my solitude, I turned away from love for years. Now everything I wished for has come true, but I don't want to be alone anymore. Love, they can't confine me in my dreams. It's gotten late. I'll let moonlight negotiate the terms of my release. 2. To my father, not yet gone. I'm waiting to be born against my lover's bicep, the chapel of their lips. Once, when I asked, she said, I am transcribing, beautiful in its simplicity. My pain is future tense, doorway like a deer path. I love you, and I'm afraid of the silence that follows. There is no end. For years, I've been looking. I'm begging you, please understand me. I'll let moonlight negotiate the terms of our release. Thanks.
Great, that was absolutely beautiful. Thanks, Nick. Next up we have Austen Leah Rose. Austen is the author of Once This Forest Belonged to a Storm, which won the Juniper Prize from the University of Massachusetts Press. Her poems have appeared in the Sewanee Review, Narrative, the Iowa Review, Los Angeles Review of Books, and elsewhere. She has a PhD from the University of Southern California, where she is currently a Dornstein Fellow.
Thank you so much, Matt, for inviting me and for hosting. I'm really excited. I'm going to start by doing something that I have never done before, but I'll try it out. I'm going to start by singing a song. I think my poetry has always been an attempt to get close to music, and I've always wanted to be able to sing and play guitar, and so thank you for indulging me. I'm going to sing just part of one song. part of a song by Purple Mountains, who is really David Berman. It's kind of a song, it's kind of an anti-desire song, and so I thought I would sing it because my poems are all poems about desire. Okay. Course I've been humbled by the void. Of course I've been humbled by the void. Most of my faith has been destroyed. I've been forced to watch. I think I need this in front of me. Yeah, is that possible? Okay. Wait, you don't have to do that. No. Okay, here, maybe. Okay. Here, let me just do this. That's perfect. Okay. I was worried this would happen. Okay. Of course, I've been humbled by the void. Much of my faith has been destroyed. I've been forced to watch my foes enjoy ceaseless feasts of schadenfreude. And as the pace of life keeps quickening, meet the bitchin' and the bickering, I try to drown my thoughts in gin, but the worst ideas know how to swim. Well, a setback can be a setup for a comeback if you don't let up. But this kinda hurtin' won't heal. And the end of all wanting is all I've been wanting. And that's just the way that I feel. Okay, that was very silly. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to read a few little poems from something that I've been working on. They're all sort of fragmentary and prose-like, and none of them have titles, so I'll just read one after another, and whenever there's a pause, that's when a page is turned. Everything out the window was either dead or dying, except us, barefoot and still wet, driving home from the swimming hole. In my hands, I cradled a peach, which bruised a little with each bump in the road. And in my mind, I composed a poem for you, which went like this. Always, I want, even in your presence, especially in your presence, as if your face were the fog, disappearing. August in Los Angeles. The air is not so hot as to stultify thought, but will be soon. Specks of silver glitter in the concrete. Ezra is in preschool. I am between 2 semesters of teaching poetry, and although grateful for the freedom, have been struggling with how to organize my time. So today I set myself the task of doing nothing but observing the hours vanish, an activity which people say has merit. I will stare straight into the void, I tell myself, and find out once and for all what is there. That all of this will play out the way a song plays out, with its set duration, and the scene world will peel off like green scrim on the surface of a lake. A doctor told me the medication would make these thoughts go away. But I can't stop thinking of the night my sister came home from the hospital, how we sat at the table, candles lit, an abundance of food before us, her newborn baby crying. Just 24 hours ago, she had been in a numbered room in a hospital, machines blinking, white linoleum, no windows, monitoring the sodium content of her brain. Her brain, the way the doctors had simplified it in drawings, an oblong shape, not unlike California. That someday I will have to say goodbye to all this. Grilled chicken and potatoes at Zal's house, with the windows wide open and chairs that face the mountains. And Zal says, with which I agree, it feels like our reality is on lease, that it doesn't belong to us. Ezra's tangled corn silk hair, the solid fact of him, the way his body blots out what's behind it. Sunlight on my skin after migraine ends, and I am once again united with the world, my mind receiving visual stimuli offering my mind back to me in return. upstairs in your baby's bedroom, sitting next to you while she slept in the dark. Now finally we could talk. It was the most terrified I'd ever felt in my life, I said. How the light in the room stretched and gave, and I knew that Earth was a cheap and pathetic solace, like a pacifier for a baby. Tell me an untrue story, Ezra says to me lately before he goes to bed. This is what intimacy looks like, my mother said to me once on Thanksgiving while dismantling a turkey carcass with her bare hands. But now I find your hands in the August light, drawing a hummingbird from memory, slicing the skin from a Bartlett pear so our child won't choke. Might there be a version of love with a taste for tenderness and nuance that doesn't require one lover's total obliteration? On Tuesday, I try to tell you this, but my words, per usual, arrive like postcards in the mail, mangled and damp by the time they make it to you. You came home while I was on the couch reading Kristeva on Mallarmé, rhythm made intelligible through syntax. It's not easy to express gratitude for what you have, when language is a tool for the recovery of what is lost. But there are distances inside a gesture, how even when I touch you, I cannot reach you, so far away you are, in sleep. Outside my window, a maple tree's brute silence. I think of Monday, when you and I sat across the table at the hip new restaurant. Turmeric chicken, smashed olives, a glass of orange wine. I could have asked you then outright if you wanted me. But you are real, and you know what I think about reality, how unequally it corresponds to the magnitude of my want. I consider Rilke, who would stare for hours at things to try to see beyond them, into their other side, where some secret might expose itself through language. I keep trying it, but it never works. Sky stays sky, grass, grass. As we leave the restaurant, a real wind blows your bangs across your face, and we cross the street to find our cars parked exactly where we left them. The next morning I wake alone, convinced I'm pregnant again, but it was only a dream. And this is the last one. The doctor writes the words loss and gain on the whiteboard. Sadness is always an experience of loss, the doctor says. This medication will minimize your sensitivity to loss. That afternoon, Hannah slices a lump of red clay with a thin wire and hands a slab to each of us before we walk through the hilly neighborhood. Gold light and the scent of car exhaust, unavoidable from the auto body shop. Summer with its illusion of time standing still. Before Ezra was born, a virus made it dangerous to be close to anyone. We lived in another woman's house, among her furnishings, the photos of her daughter hanging in the hallway, jars of unidentifiable dried mushrooms. Evenings, I'd watch the empty swing in the overgrown garden, or send my sister things I ordered from the internet. My hair thinned. It's not remarkable that trees resemble us, but that we insist we don't resemble trees, someone said. After we slept together, she and I stopped making plans, but we would still text each other our dreams. Once I dreamt of her, although I never told her that. At the gallery, we place our clay figures near the work of another artist who casts memories into pewter. Hannah asks us to write our most shameful desire down, then surprises us by submerging the paper in a bowl of water. I watch my words grow bigger and bigger, then blur. Thank you.
Amazing. How are you going to follow that, Amanda? No, I'm just kidding. You're gonna. That was so good. Thank you, Austen. I feel like, yeah, like I feel like we need like a dance. We need like performance art. Like we got to keep this going. Amanda Merritt Scharf is the author of To Make a Bell Ring Back, winner of the 2025 Four-Way Books Levis Prize in Poetry, forthcoming spring 2027. We're going to be pressmates, which I'm very happy about. And co-author of the collaborative chapbooks Metal House of Cards, out from Finishing Line Press, and Astral Gaze, which is out from Dancing Girl Press, or not out, forthcoming. You stay busy. Her poems can be found in Narrative, Poetry Northwest, Iowa Review, Gulf Coast, Poet Lore, and elsewhere. She teaches at USC and lives in LA with her wife and their dog, Silver.
I really wish I was cool enough to come up here and dance. Not in this life. So, before we left tonight, our dog Silver gave us those really sad eyes, and I felt much more vulnerable to them, so she appears in most of the poems. Even the sad ones. But they're all sad. I thought that was the theme of the evening. So. This is called We Got the Dog. We got the dog to get us out of bed, out of the house, to stop our unhealthy relationship with Pet Finder, Adopt a Pet, and Craigslist, but not to stop our imagined lives. The endless scroll of Redfin, Zillow, and Compass, location unaffordable, view impossible. To go to puppy school on Sundays where the trainer says, sit, no, break. Says, I love you guys, but you two are so gay. We got the dog to teach us patience, perspective, because when I get sad, I get sad. To mop the kitchen with her snout. Here, I point, and here. The floorboards, my toes, the couch. Now, I drop crumbs without caring, and you write her name into songs about the sun. So that we can say we live here. After our neighbors had a baby. After my cousin had a baby. After they had another baby and named me godmother. We got the dog to say I love you. So that you could ask her on the kitchen floor if she remembers her mother. Which makes me think of yours in the gold frame by your side of the bed, except hers is living somewhere on a farm in Tennessee. So we could say ridiculous things like, look at her breathing, to say, look at us, to say, she looks like you. So I can tell you, no, clearly she has your eyes. Sorry, I folded this and they all just kind of glued to each other. What if? In the city my Vanema is from, farmland stretches a hamlet. The stone windmill turns around another century's shattered axis. In her town, my Vanema fed piglets, weaned within weeks. What if the town a village? What if the village a field? And in the field a family, seasons of barley and rye. Before the war, her sister could stand on a cantering horse. North of Veke Maria, west of Idaviru, my Vanama fled her country, left her parish, her mother, Ida, a bell of my invention that calls and calls back, what if we stay? Some of these I haven't read before, so let's see. This is Safe Haven. We should have known how fast the fire would flood. The course changed the moment the school caught flame. When the field between your childhood home and mine spat sparks across Temescal and Sunset, striking the theater, the church, the library, and mountains that first night. No one slept in their own bed. My mother and father under our wedding quilt, you and me and the dog, curled on the living room pull-out, tracing street names with our fingers, watching the map update across the screen. The markers turned from pink to red. I didn't know what to believe, the videos displaying our unrecognizable city or my lone imagination. I hoped you would find your mother's sculpture waiting under ash in the rubble, what could have been the cut and curve of her hand-carved marble. I couldn't bring myself to pack another go bag to choose which objects held memory, what was vulnerable to the golden sweep of ruin. I begged for the lonely piano nocturne in that desperate village of belief. I was afraid you'd see I wasn't strong enough to evacuate, to carry out the family story of escape I had been retelling my whole life. How was I supposed to fall asleep with the wind seizing palm fronds, with the chime still ringing threat? How could I keep you safe? Even though I had dreamt the fire repeatedly as a child, I was powerless against its real-life pace. The peace of chance, fluke act of God, the careful carelessness with which the embers jumped, scorched, and scattered immeasurable light in a brilliant fury. What we could not predict and prepare for needled its way inside the house. I needed to build you a safe haven, to find the words outside of metaphor. It was afternoon, or maybe evening, when the pink alert rang through our bungalow, flashing a synchronized warning. I escaped the scene into what I imagined and left my mother and father still in our bedroom, you and the dog, the limits of my small human mind, to search the catalog of what I left in my parents' home. I pictured 2 red volumes you gave me years ago, the Russian novel printed and bound in installments, burning in my childhood bedroom, already painted an ungodly shade of orange. Is there anything more devastating than a love story in flames? The map was incorrect. It wasn't my family's house that burned, it was yours. You hid your devastation until we closed the door. In privacy's refuge, I kneeled at your feet. You called your father to tell him everything was gone. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. This one is also comedic, so that's all right. Voyage. As in a long journey by sea or by space, as in a movement and place, think of the architect drafting time, the waiting room, the living room, the plane departing in one place and arriving in another, the hours lost in a state called lag. Did you know there's a genetic component to insomnia? The window is filled with metaphor, my father says. He says a poem can also be about politics. I write a packing list or I write a poem. I write about politics in the sand. We save 2 old panes on the side of the house. I have so many unfinished ideas, I should compile an incomplete archive. My mother and my watch arvo through the window and eat currants. My onu monitors the garden. The stork monitors the laundry. It is a choice to use the present tense. Less than one hand to count all the times we were, less than one hand to count the times all of us were together. In an airport, my ono says, Naime varsti. I do not see him again. The metronome in my daddy's basement gathers years. A baby is born on Midsummer's Day. As godmother of Midsummer, I send the baby books in the mail. I make to-do lists without any action verbs. The words I misconjugate, the words I respond to in English. These days, I arrive later to each appointment. The lens refuses to defog. Think of the names we call each other. Daddy, Onu, Vanema, Emma. It takes 2 weeks to name the dog Silver. Minuema eolekoyu, I say into the receiver. I watch a trip to the moon. Naime varsti. I could sit here and draw up some contractual connection, but can't you see that prize destination? To land somewhere without explanation. That when we gathered in the rental apartment, my father called my cousin brother. That my mother, sitting between her sister and brother, is a moving image. That I watch a video in my hand of the song festival and lose the day, as in to swim in a different ocean and still time the cyclic rise and fall. So something happened when I turned 35 and I should have brought the glasses up here. It's nice to know that. I have 2 more, but should I just do what's the timing like? I forgot. Okay. One is little. I promise. This is curtain call. In our bed, I read to you about a heavenly body made of moonlets and dust, a red ring galaxy, a star who eats its own planet, sucks the rock into its sun. Is it wrong to think it might not be so terrible to be engulfed by what is bright and stemming, my world with you. What strange destiny to crawl back to the beginning. The bang and clamor, the planet, mountains, and shore lit up like a stage that promised encore. Okay. Someday, a blimp in the sky. The calendar says it's May. In the living room, the Christmas tree has bleached. Ornaments adorn the floor, covered in ash, vulnerable to the sway and shudder of the hand-embroidered veil. I shake my head. It shakes me back. Between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m., I am permeable. A window without a pane. I want to refuse the enormity of what's happened and sleep like the dog we call Big Baby so often she nearly forgets her name. Could this hesitation be what the books say about the inner child? Mine appears stubborn, standing in the threshold of an unlit hallway, weighing the choice in her hands. It's impossible to do what I need to do, to permeate the veil, to embroider the threshold, to call this month May. I want to refuse the hallway, the limitations of a line. Why always the same story? Why always the wrinkle of moonlight striking the landing but not the stairs so that I might climb into the dark? Is it the crow's feet that tug me deeper? Or do I enter willingly into the genetic field, the upwelling sea? A few miles away, the accumulation of heavy metals permeate the sand, our standing home. Some days I hesitate to enter a closed conversation or a room tasked with choosing what to keep. The enormity comes and comes temporarily into view. An unexamined pain, the bell and howl film-o-sound projector resting in the garage. At first, we stand too close to the object. We nearly forget its name. But someday, we'll lie in an open field looking up. Someday, a blimp in the sky. Maybe May, Goodyear, a little to the right of our field of vision.
Okay, we have one more reader. We'll forgive you for not dancing. I think we can move past this eventually. We'll get over it. We'll get over it. That was beautiful. Thank you. Okay, last up we have Thomas Renjili, who is a fiction writer and poet, brilliant fiction writer and poet from Scranton, PA. A graduate of Vassar College, he received his MFA from Oregon State University and is a PhD candidate at the University of Southern California. His stories and poems appear in the American Poetry Review, Casual, Kenyon Review, Gulf Coast, the Missouri Review, Denver Quarterly, Electric Literature, and other publications. He edits fiction for Joyland magazine, and he lives in LA.
Hi. I literally can't see anything. Okay. One second. The dance. Outside the square dance, the grandparents wait for the bus, but the bus has left. The schedule is unforgiving. They'd swung their partners, do-si-doed, and stayed a dance too long. The people they'd met were gone. Their young grandson hadn't waited, so he didn't see them on the curb, curled together in peach windbreakers, like chapped lips pursed against the mountain air. He'd been too timid on the bus to say, "Hey, driver, some grandparents have been forgotten." He did worry. Would they miss the ice cream social or die? The schedule was unforgiving. But the grandparents, flapping in the wind like loose skin, walked the whole 2 miles into town. Still, they arrived too late, the last scoop served. Would it cheer them to know this? Much later, a nurse will wheel the grandfather to the home's weekly ice cream social. He'll spread his lips and whisper, "Take me back," and the nurse will ask, to wear. This is epithalamium with surveillance footage. Adjust my contacts. Stigmatism. Okay. Remember the summer we bought our way to blamelessness, nailed delivered turf into droughted dirt. It's better than grass, I said and meant it. Mornings, green polypropylene glistened like dew we rarely got, even then. Life, a little irritating. Dry eyes, pilled cashmere in the AC, our courtesies all calculation. Always someone summing up water waste, claiming sensitivity to the slight rise in record highs. We'd sunbathe, sunscreened, but never enough. Burns traced ghosts of Speedos, branded our skin like fallen yield signs, while sweat clogged our pores, puddled on cushions beneath us. Remember how by noon the turf burned our feet, so we stored ugly rubber Crocs at the threshold. Rats shat in them. Dry pellets for months we thought stones. Yes, it politicized us, our scorched red souls, while other yards were alive enough to breed mosquitoes. One heat wave, we lost it. The power out long enough to rot our frozen chicken. Nude, we shook our last ice into our last well vodka. Wasted and annoyed with the whir of new builds' backup generators, we ran out to the cul-de-sac, smashed glass, shouted and kicked the spinning head of a sprinkler, then another. It was easier than we thought to break the social contract, become vandals caught on a Ring camera, a proprietary clip saved to an app. But life won't be so bad here. Desaturated blur of the backwoods, easy to live without color and depth, where borders pixelate and blend, and light will preserve us, though grayly. In new resolutions, so grainy we'll give up counting calories, toss our mucins and acids, accept all we are is what we've done, in view of someone no longer with us, or whom we never bothered to meet. Sure, we'll feel alone in our microclimate of cloud, you and I, static and disputable as a cited myth. Passed around, puzzled over, unproven. Yes, at times we'll crawl from our tangled polyurethane and strip. Claw unknown shoulders, acne with fallen staghorn sumac droops, and suck their drying stains from tar. When nights fall, breakless, into night, will we miss it? The sun, being young, running the shower without getting in. Ruminant. That summer, summers ago, in Oregon, I'd cycle through the research pasture to see the cows. My cows, I called them, in texts to my exes and to people I barely knew. These cows meant to be studied, not slaughtered, as long as they were looked at, worth looking at. My colleagues allowed them to live, chewing, standing, behaviorless, seemingly. Air in the valley was made of bodies, of houses burning. It was bad to inhale the pastel pink of deleted woods, once nearby, where I didn't know. I was new here. Someone I barely knew here posted she'd been there, a cliff in the burnt spot, proposed there. I was alone here newly. Who I knew, my cows. Every single day I would bike to them, and it calmed me. This recurrence of texting my exes, I'm on the way to my cows. Texting new friends, have you been to my cows? It was bad. And in writing these words, who was writing them? Routine became a want to break continuously from what was what, the placelessness of little trips I geotagged with names I'd never heard read aloud. Philomath, Willamette, and every day the same cows stood, behaviorless, seemingly, and I, seen from somewhere, might seem cyclic too, in the always and the neverness of compulsion. It was bad. Like I was, herded and lowing, behind thin barbed wire orbed stems grew through. And my nearbyness too was weedy and useless, and yet and always I cycled, again to the cows, and again the again of me, a kind of time, of tether, unmoved by any moment, by any tickly pink breath, thinking only, my cows, again, it was bad, and feeling in the againness and the ending, simultaneous, the idiocy of summers ago in the research pasture, it was bad, and it's only now I know what I called recurrence was loss, while I cycled to my cows. My colleagues in the research pasture measured effects of smoke inhalation in their bovine models, like skin burns, pneumonia, reduced conception. They published their findings. And all this, it was bad. My cows happened before the day I arrived to scientists in gas masks locking up livestock trailers, rusted silent, summers ago, and all the fields evacuated. Okay, I think I'm going to read a poem. This is the only poem I've ever written about being happy. And it was just because of a mistake I made with medication. This is called I'm Experiencing Queer Joy. There's a police helicopter in the rainbow. I'm so happy for Greta Gerwig and all she's done for gender. The price is so low when you buy 100 units of Botox at a time. A psychic told my friend Virginia she has maggots in her breasts. I don't care. Breasts aren't my thing, so we can still be friends. But we're not, because we betrayed each other. I'm applying for a credit card. I think it's good to spread all your debt onto many, many cards, so the bureaus don't know how much there is. When my friend Haley got shot in Bushwick, no one was surprised. No one admitted it, but the predictability was reassuring, even though it was a stray bullet meant for someone else. But you know, there just are some people with lives like that. She lived, slay. Not that it couldn't happen to anyone, at any time. Not me, I'm at home. I took an extra Wellbutrin today, so until I crash, I'm feeling what they call queer joy. It's like croissants without the cum. Now I'm embracing chaos and the unknown at a WeWork. I got invited here on Grindr. I came in a handicap stall. There's a speaker playing a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. Throwback. Now I'm back home, filled with inspiration from out in the world. I think I'm going to translate the Red Hot Chili Peppers discography into Latin. My boyfriend is like, why? Because I believe I may be the Ann Carson of Red Hot Chili Peppers. My boyfriend says our experience of reality is different. I say, I know. I say that's what I mean. That's what Ann Carson means. I text my friend, I'm so glad Bernie didn't outlaw pharmaceuticals. He says, I don't think you understand. I don't think you should have the right to vote. I'm not even registered. I gave up voting because I had a political ex. He got mad when I voted for de Blasio. He said not voting was the political thing. My ex and his best friend, a small lesbian, read Frank O'Hara poems out loud to me. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't ask for it to happen. Now I'm reading about Frank O'Hara's death. Death is a threat to queer joy. Thank God his Wikipedia section on death is short. I want my funeral to be short and sweet, but my Wikipedia death section to be long. Insane details. People being all TMI. It's the queer joy talking. My boyfriend ordered me a pill organizer on Amazon.com, so this never happens again. He sent me a Venmo request for it. That's okay. Thanks.
I can't breathe. I'm sorry. That was so good. So that's it. I mean, thank you guys again so much. I mean, writing is so weird and lonely, and we can't really talk about it that often with that many people, and doing things like this always makes me feel like we do it for a reason, right? And the reason is to share experiences like this and be in community. And I just want to thank Beyond Baroque. I want to thank David for making this whole series possible, truly. I mean, this is amazing to be able to bring writers together. And hit up the bookstore on your way out, for sure. All the books are there. And what else? What else? Does anybody want to do a dance or anything? Yeah, see you next time.